This ghost town had things very few, if any, other ghost towns had. A 4-mile-long bobsled run, a roller skating rink, and a spectacular scenic view from the 8,000-foot level. We'll show you where it's at next on Ghost Towns and More. Nestled in the heart of western Montana, high in the mountains about 4 miles southeast of Phillipsburg, are the remains of what was once considered the richest silver mine known at the time. A chance discovery of silver ore high up on the mountain in 1865 by Hector Horton eventually led to the establishment of new mining claims. From 1872 to 1875, prospector Eli Holland and some friends worked the area, establishing the Granite Mountain lode. It took until about 1880 for things to really get started, but thanks to the efforts of Charles D. McClure and a friend, they secured financing from investors in St. Louis, Missouri in the amount of $10 million. The next couple years were tough going. The mountain was made of solid granite, and McClure, along with his men, kept blasting and digging. After 2 years with no successful finds, the investors in St. Louis in November of 1882 decided to pull out and sent a telegram to McClure with orders to stop and abandon the effort. According to lore, the day the telegram was supposed to arrive was also the last day that McClure had enough to pay his workers for what would be their last shift. But the telegram was delayed, supposedly by bad weather. McClure's men were busy setting blasting charges in the mine, then left so they could set them off. When the dust settled, the miners were thrilled to discover that they had struck a rich ore vein, so rich that a new future of wealth would be the beginning of a thriving enterprise yielding $40 million and becoming the state's largest silver-producing mine, referred to as the Silver Queen. It should come as no surprise that with the newfound prosperity of the mine, that the new settlement and the county was named after what the mountain was made of: granite. By 1884, the new town of Granite was built high on the slopes of Granite Mountain, and the main street through town was built up with substantial buildings. To look at this site today, it is almost unimaginable of what it once looked like at its peak. Homes and structures were built upon the steep slopes of the mountainside, propped up by poles and supports. One account said that a preacher was cautioned about pounding the pulpit, as the 2 poles that supported their chapel might not withstand the thumping. Laborers flocked to the area, consisting of Irish and Danish immigrants, as well as Chinese. The population soon swelled to an amazing estimate of over 3,000 people. The mining operation built into the mountain slopes was enormous. Standing among the massive ruins today, it's a wonder to the imagination to try and comprehend what it took to build such extensive operations and a thriving town in such a high and remote mountaintop area. Over the next decade, thousands of dollars of silver and gold were extracted from the mine. The town grew to have 4 churches, its own newspaper, a school, 18 saloons, a hospital, fire station, and a large miners' union hall, the remnants of which are still standing. A 3-story hotel was also built and considered the best in the territory. The progress didn't stop there. The town also featured a roller skating rink, a ballpark, a library, and an amazing 4-mile-long bobsled run that went all the way down the mountain back to Phillipsburg. The working conditions at the mine were not always favorable, as the hospital was constantly busy with injured miners who were treated for falls and burns from explosions, as well as those who died from various accidents. The biggest problem for Granite was the lack of water, which had to be hauled in by wagon teams to fill the local cistern up until about 1888. And in other developments, the mine built a 7-mile-long tramway to facilitate transport of the ore to the base of the mountain. Life was good at Granite, as long as one could withstand the high altitude and cold winter temperatures. There were activities and theater productions in the Union Building, along with other events and entertainment for everyone. But in 1893, Granite, along with every other silver-producing town in the nation, would suffer its worst blow. The repeal of the Sherman Silver Purchase Act was fatal to the town's economy as silver mining collapsed. Within a year, the town's population went from over 3,200 to a mere 140. Mining efforts did continue sporadically on a very small scale throughout the years, but by the 1950s, all mining operations were over. The town's last resident, May Werning, continued to live in the town until her death in 1969, after which the town became a complete ghost. The countless buildings and homes that once covered the mountainside have mostly vanished, with only a few shell-like remnants crumbling along what was once a busy main street. The foundations and granite walls of the massive processing plant of the mine remain, overlooking a beautiful scenic view of the valley below. Today, the area is a Montana state park where visitors can walk along self-guided tours of the area. The dirt road leading to the town site can be rough for passenger cars, and depending on road conditions, high-clearance vehicles may be required. From the town site, the scenery below, along with remaining foundations from the tram dotting the hillside, is just breathtaking. Standing among the ruins and contemplating the story of the rise and fall of Granite and all the people who once lived and worked there is a nostalgic experience that will make this ghost town very much worth visiting in your travels.